Jason. Okay. We are on the air, and this is our Cadillac City Council meeting for August 5th, 2013. We apologize for the lateness, as we had to take a short break after our closed session, which occurred at 5 o'clock till about, 6 o'clock till about 7. It is past 7 o'clock at the City Hall here in Cadillac, 200 North Lake Street. And I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Next up is roll call. Mr. Pecha.
Thank you. Councilmember Stevens.
Here.
Melama.
Here.
Spolman.
Here.
Mayor Barnett.
Here. Looks like 4 out of 5.
I think you have to call shippers.
You do.
Shippers.
All right.
One absent, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All right. I noticed Sherry's sitting closer tonight. Next up would be our agenda. Are we going to take off the closed session that we were considering having at the end of our meeting?
Yes, sir. We no longer need that.
Okay, and that was relating to a couple of tax tribunal issues,
Correct.
and those were resolved and settled in our special meeting, actually, that did have a closed session just prior to this one. So we will take that off. Any other additions, deletions, or corrections to our agenda?
You don't have one? You mentioned that you...
I did. I guess the individual from the honor right is here, and he's going to just handle it as part of the public comment.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda with deleting the closed session portion from what was on our original agenda.
Okay.
Support.
There's motion and support. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Pecha?
Councilmember Stevens.
Here.
Melama.
Yes.
Yes.
Shippers. Spolman.
Yes.
Mayor Barnett.
I'm here, yes, as well. Motion carried. Thank you. Public comments are open. He's always saving us on the small details so we can give it back to him
Right.
on the bigger stuff. It's also a small detail, but public comment is open, and Mr. Majera is here. I'm going to ask him to come up forward if he would first, and if that's okay, unless anyone's in a great big hurry. And he's got an announcement regarding an event this weekend.
Thank you, Mayor. First off, I have to thank the City of Cadillac, the mayor, and everybody here on the board of the council. Once again, we have a huge event happening here in Cadillac, and the city has stood right behind it big time. We've had a meeting yesterday at the AMVETS Post 110 for this honor ride that's happening on Saturday, put on by We the People Giving Back and the Cadillac AMVETS Post 110. As of now, we're expecting roughly about 400 motorcycles to be part of this. A big thank you to the Pines as well, because that's where the motorcycles are going to rally. They're going to be escorted in here by our police and fire and EMS. We're honoring a Purple Heart recipient. Lieutenant Joe Thompson is the main recipient. He was shot in the head in Vietnam in February 8th of 1968. He's a native here of Cadillac. We also are going to have some great guests on hand. We are going to have a Medal of Honor recipient. Dwayne Dewey will be here, who most of us from here know who he is, out of Baldwin. And the list just goes on. We're going to be honoring a Gold Star mother who lost her son in Afghanistan. We're going to be honoring a fallen police officer from here at the City of Cadillac. And when everything's done with the ride back over at the Pines, we'll be doing an act of kindness. And to this point, they still haven't told me who that is. So I don't even know who that is. It's going to be a local family who is dealing with cancer in their family and having a hard time. And the Pines has been doing a bowl-a-thon kind of thing they're doing, and a softball deal. And that money is getting donated towards them. The big thing is, to get the word out to everybody, to thank you guys, because without the city and the city council, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing to get the escorts and roads closed and whatnot. We also have 700 American flags we're going to be handing out. We'd love to see as many people as possible on Main Street. For just a quick synopsis, they're leaving the Pines, M55 south on 115. They're going to grab Sunnyside up to Granite, Granite to Mitchell, Mitchell down to Harris, Harris down to Lake. And we're going to now park all the bikes on Lake Street, and that's per kind of the sheriff and the police chief thinking that might be a little better to actually use some of the other parking lots for parking that we talked about. But I've been in contact with Al and whatnot to work all those out. But the big thing is this We the People Giving Back on behalf of Doug Pickle, who's the CEO of this nonprofit. This is what this man does every weekend he has, is he's going somewhere in this state and recognizing our veterans and their families and fallen police officers and firefighters. He's never served a day in the military, and this is his way of giving back for what he did. It will be a very tearful event and a very joyful event, and I hope everybody can take the time to come out. The ceremony begins at 1:20. The motorcycles are due to arrive here on Lake Street at 1 o'clock. I look forward to seeing you all, and once again, thank you to the city of Cadillac.
All right, and actually boats are invited too with...
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, yes. We're trying to get the word out. I got a few friends that have boats on the lake, and if you have a boat and you want to decorate it up, bring it out over by the pavilion. At that time, we're going to get some speakers, and we're going to turn them around, so we're also broadcasting out on the lake so they can hear what's going on. And I was just told yesterday that this is going to happen again next year. So we're already working on recipients for next year's event to make it bigger and better, because as Mr. Prickle said, he was amazed by how this city welcomed everybody in from his organization and worked for him. So once again, thank you very much.
Matt, thank you for coming tonight, and thanks for all your work organizing this. You're doing a great job.
It's been a joy. It's been a joy. Thank you.
Thanks again. All right, and sorry if that inconvenienced anyone who would also maybe like to talk during public comment. If you would like to come forward, please do. Mr. Gibson? Okay. We've got some esteemed guests in the house tonight. Seeing no one else come up, I will close public comment at this time, and we will proceed to the consent agenda, which has a couple of minutes on it. First of all, the Cadillac City Council minutes from July 5th. We have, those are the regular meeting minutes. We also had a special session with Clam Lake and City Council, which was a township city meeting, and that was held on July 15th. Those minutes are in here. There's a request from the Friends of the Library to hang a banner over Mitchell Street from October 21st through the 28th. And the Band Boosters have a request here of the Cadillac Band Boosters to hang a banner over Mitchell Street from October 28th through November 12th, advertising their Band Booster Craft Show. Those are the items that are on our consent agenda. Could we have a motion for those?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask for a correction in the minutes to the regular city council meeting on July 15th in
Okay.
regards to a name.
What did you see in there?
And that is in the section regarding the parking lot closure request for Made in Michigan Thursdays. It refers several times to Judy Evans, and her name is Judy Emmons.
Okay, that's correct. So anywhere it appears in that portion of our minutes, which is section D.
Just want to make sure I'm hearing it right.
EMMONS.
Okay.
Okay, anything else from our minutes? So could we have a motion with that amendment in mind?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the correction as noted in the city council minutes of July 15.
Thank you. Is a motion made? Is there support? Support. There is support. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will proceed to Mr. Petcha, who's our acting clerk tonight.
Thank you. Councilmember Melmoth.
Yes.
Shippers. Spolman.
Yes.
Stevens.
Yes.
Mayor Barnett.
Yes. Motion carried, 4-0. Any public hearings, proclamations? There are none tonight. No public hearings. And we have one communication. Bob's in the house, who also was at the meeting last night, Bob Matthews. And that's what's up next. There is a request. Mr. Petra, why don't you go ahead and take this, and we'll invite Bob up to see what he wants to tell us about.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. As just mentioned, Mr. Matthews is here this evening to talk about the upcoming color trains coming to Cadillac in October. The request this evening is for a motion to approve the closing of Lake Street between Cass and Harris Streets on October 5th, 2013, from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. and from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., as well as on October 12th, 2013, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And perhaps if Mr. Matthews could just give us a heads up as to the event, that'd be wonderful.
Yes, thank you. I'm here on behalf of the Steam Railroading Institute out of Owasso. And this year, we are actually running 2 fall color excursions. The first excursion on the 5th will be starting here and proceeding up to Boyne for the day, and then coming back in the evening. The following weekend will be our standard Mount Pleasant to Cadillac trip. Once they arrive here, though, they will be doing a side trip out to Yuma. And all the ticket information is on our website at michigansteamtrain.com.
Okay.
And those are, offhand, are those Saturdays this year? Do they fall on Saturdays?
Yes, they do.
I would make a motion that we approve the request by the Steam Railroading Institute to close Lake Street between Cass and Harris Street on October 5th from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. and then also from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And also on October 12th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. for the Color Tour passenger train.
Okay, there's a motion made. Is there support?
Support.
Okay, there's motion and support. Bob, thanks again for coming, and thanks for your service on the Honor Guard as well. Any discussion again on this, other than
Is fall really just around the corner?
only if you look at the calendar?
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Doesn't quite feel like it. Well, maybe it does feel like it.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite look like it, but we're going to see some color change quickly, I'm afraid, quicker than usual. Just one more rain.
Oh, that's a great event. Everything you said last year, Bob, with the event was right on. It was a perfect event last year, and it's great for Cadillac, so thanks for being part of that.
Absolutely, thank you. Do you have a love for trains by chance?
Since I was a young boy.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks again for coming here and being a part of this. Anything else from council prior to for voting? Mr. Petra, roll call.
Councilmember Shippers, Councilmember Spolman,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens.
Yes.
Councilmember Melama.
Yes.
Mayor Barnett.
Yes. Motion carried. That's taken care of there. Thanks again, Bob. We'll see you later. No appointment for tonight. Next up, we have a FOIA appeal. And I guess I would start out asking if W. Edward Wendover is present or in the building. I don't see Mr. Wendover present myself, and he is not coming forward. So typically, we would give the applicant an opportunity to say a few things, and we would respond and then give a rebuttal. I'm going to pass over that and on both sides, I guess, and just ask our staff to present our position in response to Mr. Wendover's FOIA appeal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. I am passing out, per the City Attorney's request, a draft letter that it's anticipated we'll be getting out in the mail to Mr. Wendover accordingly, and I'll also be able to provide a copy on official letterhead as well. At this time, as everybody is aware, and as it was provided in the public City Council agenda packet, the city is in receipt of a FOIA request. This evening, there would be a couple of motions that would be appropriate for council to consider. This FOIA request, or rather FOIA appeal, pertains to legal bills of the City of Cadillac versus the Blackburn case, and in addition to the City of Cadillac versus Blackburn and the relationship with the Cadillac News. The first motion that would be appropriate for the City Council to consider would be to grant in part and deny in part the 2013 invoices for the City versus Blackburn case. The denial in part is because certain documents are redacted due to their attorney-client privilege. Likewise, it's being granted in part because the non-exempt portions are subject to public disclosure. The second motion, and you would need to take these separately, but the second motion would be to deny the appeal for all 2013 invoices for the City of Cadillac v. Blackburn regarding the Cadillac News, because the city does not have or maintain such documents.
Okay. Who would like to make each one of those motions, or one or the other? Is there anything else, Mr. Homer, you would like to add prior to that?
Well, the only thing I was going to add is this issue is a complicated one only because of the request. The vagueness of the request is really what prompted this. You've all had an opportunity to look at the request, and the city contacted Mr. Wendover to clarify the request. Apparently that clarification didn't have its intended effect, because in his appeal he states he was looking for something completely different. So really, when you look at this appeal, you can look at it in this respect. First, with respect to all of the 2013 invoices of the City of Cadillac versus Blackburn case, that request should be granted in part and denied in part. Again, as the city manager had mentioned, denied in part because some of that information is exempt from disclosure under FOIA. And to make sure that that we're, just so that everybody understands, we're only redacting that part that's exempt. The non-exempt information is not redacted under Section 14 of FOIA. So that's the first part. The second part is all the 2013 invoices for Cadillac versus Blackburn regarding Cadillac News. That request should be denied because we have no documents responsive to that request at all. And then there is a new request that will be dealt with as a new request is. So those are the two appeal issues you should be dealing with. And the draft letter deals with that accordingly. So those reasons are set forth in the letter should the council follow the recommendation.
Okay. Who would like to make the appropriate motion, number one? Maybe you could read it again to us, Mr.
Sure, I'd be
Petcha.
happy to.
All right.
First motion for consideration would be to grant in part and deny in part the 2013 invoices for the City v. Blackburn case. And again, as I mentioned, the denial in part is because the certain documentation are redacted due to the attorney-client privilege that's in place. And then it's granted in part because non-exempted portions are subject to public disclosure.
Okay.
So moved.
All right. There's a motion, as Mr. Petch has laid it out, made by Councilmember Melima. Is there support for the motion?
Support.
There is support. Any discussion?
The only thing, Mr. Mayor, I was thinking, because when we had one recently, then this is when you learn how many people watch the meetings, because they see this and they're like, what's going on? But it's probably important to let the public know when the reference of FOIA is a Freedom of Information Act request that anybody from the public could request of a governmental unit on any documentation. So you're hearing FOIA going, what is this? You're hearing exempt and all these words. And then if somebody doesn't get what they feel they should, they have a right to appeal it to, in this case, our city council is the appeal board. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important to know that the same with the redacting. and maybe even for Mr. Wendover, if he's watching, or anybody from that committee, but they actually would get the full document, but redacting means they will sometimes take out and black out certain names, or in this case, if it's a attorney-client privilege, or sometimes if it's a social security number, something like that. So at least when looking at it, a lot of this was just a confusion on what the request was. Now that we've got a clear identification of what the FOIA was about, we're granting most of that. And then just, in some cases, highlighting out, blacking out some names and some verbiage, but all the documents, because from my understanding, there's no full document that's being excluded. It's just redacting portions of the billings.
Correct.
Okay.
Only those portions for attorney-client privilege. That's my understanding.
So hopefully that helps, because I know I got asked the last time, what is a FOIA and what were you doing? So that might help explain a little to the public.
Okay, so there's a motion and support for motion number 1. Any further discussion, questions, comments? Hearing none. Mr. Pecha, could you proceed with the roll call?
Councilmember Spelman.
Yes.
Stevens.
Yes.
Melama.
Yes.
Shippers. Mayor Barnett.
Yes. Okay, and the second motion, Mr. Pecha?
The second motion is to consider a motion to deny the appeal for all 2013 invoices for the City v. Blackburn case regarding the Cadillac News. The city does not have or maintain such documents.
So moved. Support.
Okay, there's a Councilmember Melma for the motion, Councilmember Spelman in support. Any discussion, questions, comments?
Well,
On this
not
one?
only, in this case, isn't it not only that there's no, not only just that there's no documents, but there's also no invoices relevant to that also?
That would be the case.
Okay, so they don't exist is what we're saying here.
They don't exist.
They don't exist.
It's an echo in here. Okay. Any further comment? Hearing none. Mr. Pecha, could we please have a roll call on motion number 2?
Yes. Councilmember Stevens.
Yes.
Melama.
Yes.
Shippers. Spelman.
Yes.
Mayor Barnett.
Yes. Motion carried. All these are 4-0 so far. Next up, Mr. Pecha, looks like it's our city manager's report. Although you're serving as our clerk tonight, you're going to be our city manager as well, I'm sure.
First and foremost, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. This evening, I do have a very short agenda. There's only one item under the city manager's report. My request is to have the council set up a council work session at 5:45 p.m. on August 19th. The purpose of such work session will be to discuss the county's potentially future jail remodeling project as it pertains to the potential opportunity for the city police department to relocate. Captain Wolfile has attended the county committee meetings that they have had regarding their plans to relocate, or rather expand, or I guess perhaps relocate their facility. Eventually, and it hasn't happened yet, but eventually I do expect the county to reach out to the city to inquire if we have any desire to also have space in that facility for our Cadillac Police Department. I'd like to try to be a little proactive with respect to this project, not knowing exactly what their timing is. I don't want to be put, or rather I don't want the city to be put in a position where we're asked to give a response sort of, at a last minute, and this way we can at least get the conversation going. There's some preliminary information that Captain Wolfile has. Don't know if the pricing is going to change or not, but it's certainly something for council and staff to start chewing on if we're going to even humor a consideration of relocating our police operation to a new facility. So, asking to set a work session for the 19th at 5:45 p.m.
And who's appearing, or is this just our side of this thing, or?
Yeah, it's going to be Captain Wolfile and the information that he has gotten so far about the project. So,
Okay. Well, anyone wish to weigh in on this with the motion?
I'll make a motion that we set a work session on August 19th at 5:45 with the work session topic to be discussing the county jail remodeling project.
Okay, is there support for that?
Support.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Pecha, if you could give us a roll call on this, please.
Councilmember Melma.
Yes.
Shippers. Spolman.
Yes.
Stevens.
Yes.
Mayor Barnett.
Yes. Motion carried, 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pecha. Looks like we have an introduction of an ordinance and a resolution, in this case an ordinance. And
Yes.
you going to go ahead with that too as well, Mr. Pecha?
Yes, and I actually, one of the reasons, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, why Jeff Dietland is here this evening is is because Jeff is going to be the staff person running point on the management of the contract and recycling itself, and so I asked Jeff to attend. So thank you very much for being here. As the council communication indicates, on July 1st, 2013, the City Council did approve a citywide recycling program. As a part of those discussions, which I know we had back in July and even before then, it was mentioned that we do need to have an ordinance put into place that amends the current ordinance or code on the books regarding refuse to also add recycling. This evening, we're here to set the public hearing accordingly that would amend that section of code. The request for the public hearing would be on August 19th, 2013. Your council packet includes a copy of the code where you'll see some strike-throughs and/or additions where it's adding the language regarding recycling because the code until now was silent on that. And then I believe there's also just a plain copy of the code as it currently sits today without any marks on it. But what we're asking for this evening is the support to move the, set the public hearing.
Okay, who would like to make that motion? Who would like to make the
I'll
motion?
make a motion to approve the resolution introducing the ordinance that amends Chapter 32 of the City Code and to set a public hearing for August 19th.
Okay, is there support for that motion?
Support.
There is support. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I would go to Mr. Pecha for roll call, please.
Councilmember Shippers, Councilmember Spolman,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens,
Yes.
Councilmember Melma,
Yes.
Mayor Barnett.
Yes. Motion carried, 5-0. Here
Before
come-
we move on, there was one part of this that I found to be in the Munich Code that I thought was really interesting that I had never read before.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and let us know what that is?
And it is Section 32-28, scavengers.
Yes.
And it basically says that all solid waste collected by the city shall be the property of the city, and scavenging is hereby expressly prohibited. It shall be unlawful for any person to disturb the contents of any portable or stationary solid waste receptacle or bundle of materials therein, or leave the receptacle or the contents in a condition other than that provided for by this article. Jeff, how do you interpret that? Does that mean, let me ask a different question. Does that mean that people are not allowed to take items at the curb that other people have put out for trash?
That is what the ordinance seems to say.
It also, doesn't it lead more toward the receptacles, though? This has been going on in our city. We have folks every night before the garbage is picked up and have for decades slide through town and look for items that are left for trash that are...
This is something that's in our existing ordinance?
Yes, it is.
But to me, it looked like more of receptacles, and so if it's not in a receptacle, that might be a defense, but
It might be something we want to amend.
It just
Or
seems
at
like,
least have a discussion about.
It is a
Because
pop-
people do it all the time, and we're not enforcing it.
yeah.
And I personally don't have a problem with people taking things that other people are throwing away if they can reuse them.
And it does say bundle of materials as well. That's a good point. It certainly is a common practice. And it doesn't seem to be causing too many problems with people, and
We can certainly look at it.
just another way to keep things out of the landfill for a longer period, or delay their entry.
Is there a desire by council to look at maybe modifying that section of the code by making it legal for people to remove trash, however, to add more pointed language to state that people cannot add trash? Because I think, Mr. Mayor,
That also goes on.
that was a concern. Excuse me.
I think there's a section in there that.
Is there one
covers
already
that,
in there?
I believe.
You mean the township garbage?
I mean, isn't there a section that,
Right, I mean, it would be nice to be able to protect whatever purpose that section was put in there in the first place, if it was so that, businesses or persons' receptacles aren't damaged or added to.
Or, yeah, it's probably not a clean practice to go through the garbage cans.
Or, right, yeah, I don't know. It would certainly be a discussion,
Okay.
yeah.
Should we, just for clarification, as we look forward at setting the public hearing regarding recycling, do we want to have a separate item on this at a later point in time? Or were you thinking about having this as a part of the,
We could look at it later. It has been going on, and this is a good point. It's been brought up. That does occur, and this is on the border of that, and/or could be covering it, depending on how you read it.
okay.
But that's a good point.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, you good with that?
Yep.
All right, we have a motion in order. Any further discussion?
I think we already voted.
Yep.
Okay, I apologize, we did, and you threw me off by bringing it up
I
after.
did, I brought it up afterwards. It's really
That's
not
all right.
related to the motion.
That's still my fault. I was looking with excitement to the next item, which makes us up to $9 million in investment in our community. This is another amazing, almost $9 million, it might be.
you're
Ni-
talking in a certain period of time.
Yeah, within about, 3 months. That is a good sign, and we do have a bunch of folks, 3 from Piranha, and we want to make sure they get introduced tonight at some point.
Yes.
Mr. Petcher, what's on our table with regard to Piranha Hose Products, Inc., and an IFT certificate?
To be brief, they are looking at over a $900,000 improvement. $928,500 is the request in their IFT application. It'll assist Piranha in retaining 88 positions and adding up to 3. It includes some significant new acquisition of real property. And there are 3 people here, Brian, Dean, and Chris.
Yep.
I'm not sure if you could, maybe one of you could come up and give a little information.
How you doing tonight, Brian?
Great, Mayor, thank you. And thank you for your time and consideration on this, Mayor and council members. Piranha Hose Products, along with my colleagues, Dean and Christina, are requesting your consideration for this industrial facilities tax exemption in the amount of $928,500 for a 3.5-inch extrusion line. And that extrusion line allows us to add larger diameter products, not only for our existing markets, but also the oil and gas market, which is a new market for Piranha that we are growing into and trying to obtain new business. So we do appreciate that and your past support as well.
Okay. This is some more exciting news. This is quite an investment.
Very exciting for us.
All right. Does anyone have any questions of Brian or Dean Roan? Chris is here as well.
Brian, you're part of the original, what was the original? I was going to say 12, but that number's not correct.
It was about 13 people when it split off from Avon years ago, and it's been an exciting ride for me, and I know it's been a great opportunity for other people as well, but I've sure enjoyed my time there and just look forward to continuing it and just seeing it grow and prosper in Cadillac and all the new jobs that it's added. It's been a lot of fun for me. So,
Thinking the original 13 and now at 88, that's very impressive.
yes, it is. We just brought on a few more this week, so we're excited about that. So it's anything that allows for expansion in Cadillac is really exciting for us because it's something that we see our products go all over the world. We're proud of all of our exports that we have. I'm not sure how many countries we're into now, Chris. Is it about 40? About 40 countries we export to, so we're just very excited about that.
And the parent company is?
Kiriyama.
Okay.
And we've met with them, or at least our council did at one point in the last few years.
Yes. Yeah, we held a breakfast to welcome a member from Japan when he came here, and I do appreciate that as well.
Well,
All the
let us
support
know
we
if you
have.
need that again. We'd love to have another breakfast with you.
We like breakfast.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'll make sure we jot that down.
Then you followed up with the lunch.
Yes.
They came back
We
to
had a lunch for a groundbreaking.
The
For
groundbreaking.
another expansion.
What's really, not only with yours, but the mayor was mentioning we're up to about 9 million now in investments. What's really neat this time is a lot of them are expanding, not just replacing equipment, but it's putting in new equipment to do different products and lines, and that's exciting to see.
And that's what we're doing as well. We're actually adding capability to do products that we aren't able to do today with the larger diameters, so.
That's what's kind of different this time, is there's more of that going on, which is exciting.
It's a good sign, a good omen, and good trend. I don't know that our city's ever had this much investment in any 3 to 6 month period that I can ever recall watching from home or other places. So you're a part of it, and a part of our success, and thank you for your leadership there, Brian, and Dean and Chris. Hope to see you keep coming back here, and I think this is going to sail through.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Great job. Anyone else with any questions from council, from our hose people?
No questions, just wanted to mention that this evening we're setting the public hearing for August 19th.
Okay, so it will sail through, hopefully, at least to give them a hearing, and on the 19th, we should have a definitive answer for you, which I don't recall one since I've been watching or keeping track that they have refused. They being any of the city councils, which has been a long history of industrial support here. Okay.
I don't think we have a motion yet, so I'll make one.
Oh, no, we've already voted and there was a motion. Just
Really?
kidding. Teasing. Go ahead.
I was going to say, who's losing what mind? I'll make a motion to adopt a resolution and set a public hearing for August 19th to consider a request from Piranha Hose
Thank you.
and for the IFT certificate in the amount of $928,500.
Very, very well done. And that was the motion. Is there support as well?
Support.
Okay, any discussion? Any other questions for the group that came tonight from Piranha Hose? Okay. Mr. Petchik, we have a roll call.
Council Member Spillman.
Yes.
Stevens.
Yes.
Melama.
Yes.
Shippers. Mayor Barnett.
Yes, motion carried. And if you can come back on the 19th to celebrate with us, we'd love to have you. Thank you, all
Good
three
news,
of
you're
you.
at the beginning of the agenda then too, which is cool.
You won't get the entertainment factor. 0. All right, minutes of boards and commissions. We do have a CWTA board minute package in the agenda for tonight. Marcus, anything of unusual
Not this evening, Mr.
or
Mayor.
noteworthy? Public comments then are next. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes, although we'll make a special accommodation if a certain soldier is here on his vacation. It's been a cold vacation for Matt Gibson, who was spotlighted recently on our TV 9 and 10 station, coming into the Traverse City Airport. He's got his son with him,
Yes.
one of his boys. No Janet tonight, and,
Nope, they're at home, sleeping.
okay. Sleeping.
Yes.
Hi. You survived the boat race, or the pontoon,
Oh,
the JC
oh, yes, over the weekend. Yes.
International?
And then we had the golf, the Trentwood golf outing we participated in yesterday.
All right, thank you for everything you do on the JCs, and Janet as well.
Mr. Mayor and council members, I am here. I have just returned from overseas once again, and this is my appreciation to everyone. I have made this out to Mayor Barnett. This is showing my thank you while I was gone, taking care of my wife and young kids while I was gone, and checking in on them, make sure everything was going all right. So this is made out to Mayor William Barnett, is signed by myself and my mission commander, William Stromberg, and this flag was flown over my patrol boat on this certain day at Latin Long, and this is probably the port of Fujairah is this Latin Long, if I look at it correctly. So, and
You're kidding.
the port of Fujairah is about an hour and a half outside of Dubai. So it gives you a reference of where that would be at.
May I, Mr. Petcha, can I slide out there for a second? Sure.
Wow.
Matt,
Yeah.
are you a corporal? What is your title?
My title is I am a operations specialist first class.
Thank you so much. Maybe the Cadillac News will get a picture of this. Oh, that's amazing. This is, of course, our flag, and it's folded camera phone. Appropriately. You want to come up, get in the picture, young man?
Even though it's got a Michigan State shirt.
No, no, please, because he has a Michigan State shirt. Man, thank you so much
Thank you.
for coming. Your son's name again is?
It's a hard one to remember.
No, it isn't.
This one's William.
Congratulations. I'd love to get a picture too, really quick with, Jeff's going to take a picture as well. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
from Mr. Beaton.
Thank you, by the way.
Thank you.
I appreciate this
Yes.
very much, and I'll accept it on behalf of the city, and I think we'll have no problem finding a location for what you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. William?
Thank you.
And by the way, go green.
What's wrong with it?
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Did you want to tell us a little bit about your stay, so that you can?
11 months. The biggest thing that I saw was, my job is to make sure the USS Cole doesn't happen again. So we take our 34-foot patrol boats out, they're Sea Arcs. They have 350 cals mounted on them, 4 crew members, and we go out and escort our high-value assets, so our military ships or our ships carrying cargo for the military. Over there, it's, of course, oil and gasoline is what we're protecting most of everything. We go to about 24 to 25 miles out, escort them in, sit around them while they're in port, and then escort them back out. We were doing a mission one day, and we were doing an escort with the sub, the USS Dallas. That particular vessel was very popular because it was in the movie, the Red October movie. So when we were doing that escort, the Iranian ship came up and got within 100 yards of our sub, and it was kind of hairy there for a minute, but everything panned out and they took off and we didn't have to do anything we didn't want to do. So, or you would have been reading about it all in the newspaper, that is for sure. So,
And the temperature, average temperature?
when I left, it was about 120 to 130 with 100% humidity, so you can turn the heat up because I am very, very cold right now. Even though I'm in shorts, but I'm cold, so.
Okay. William, anything you want to say tonight? Just glad to be here. Glad to see your dad again, aren't you? He's a good man. Thank you, Matt, for serving and giving to us everything, our freedom, and especially in these times recently. And thanks for the wonderful gift. Mr. Petch, I assume we can work this in our building somewhere here.
Sure.
And thank you. Well, that was quite a public comment. Anything else from any of the other public that is here tonight? I want to thank you all for coming. Harry, did you have a good blueberry festival? Head down, that means not enough blueberries, right? He's writing. Sorry I didn't see you there this year. Public comments, going, gone. We're going to close it up. Tabled items. And it looks like we do have a tabled item. We're back to the alley between East Division and North Park. Are there any updates on that? And if so, what are they for tonight, Mr.
Yes,
Petcha?
thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. Bruce DeWitt, City Engineer and Public Works Director, has provided an updated communication in the council packet. Additionally, there are copies of 4 separate resolutions, 3 of which we'll be asking you to consider to approve this evening, 1 of which will be asked of council to consider and approve, and that would be the last one, resolution number 4, subsequent to the public hearing, which we'll be asking you to arrange for August 19th, 2013. Bruce, do you have any update as far as the project itself? Thumbs up?
Thumbs up. I met with the majority landowner out there, and he is still positive about it, so we'll see. We'll send out their letters after this meeting, and they will be notified of the public hearing, and they should show up probably in 2 weeks.
And a part of those letters, Bruce, they'll also have their own individualized cost of what the assessment will be. So presumably, if there are any issues with respect to people not wanting this to come forward, we'll definitely know for certain once we do that. So, Mike, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, we can, if you turn to the resolutions, we're going to have the City Council consider and possibly adopt resolution number 1, which really is the resolution of intent to proceed. Resolution number 2, which contemplates the city manager's report. We all know from the last time we were here, the city manager had already prepared a report. This is acknowledging that that report has been prepared. The only correction that I would make to resolution number 2 is in the second paragraph, the second numbered paragraph. And it reads, the total cost of the improvements is estimated to be $10,989, of which blank is expected from special assessments. That actually should read, the total cost of the improvements is estimated to be $11,000, all of which is expected from special assessments levied against the benefited properties in the district.
Okay. We'll keep that in mind on resolution number 2, which should we look at these at one at a time?
Yeah, you look at these one at a time, and then resolution number 3 is actually the resolution that sets the public hearing for August the 19th. Resolution number 4 you won't address until after the public hearing.
Okay. There it is. Okay. Any questions? Actually, let's just go ahead and start doing running the motions. Who would like to do those, or start with at least the first one?
I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution number 1 for the Park and East Division Street Alley Improvement District Special Assessment Resolution as presented.
Okay.
Support.
Mr. Mellowa wins by a nose. And
You asked her out there.
so we will get back to Councilmember Spolman on the next one. There's a motion and support. Could we please have a roll call, Mr. Petcha, unless anyone has any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, go ahead, Marcus.
Councilmember Stevens.
Yes.
Melma.
Yes.
Shippers. Spolman.
Yes.
Mayor Barnett.
Yes. Motion passes on resolution 1. How about resolution 2?
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 2 for the Park and East Division Street Alley Improvement District Special Assessment Resolution with just that minor change in the number 2 where the total cost estimated $11,000, of which all of is expected to be assessed.
Support.
Okay, there's a motion and support. Any discussion, questions, comments? Hearing none. Mr. Petcha, could you give us a roll call, please?
Councilmember Melma.
Yes.
Shippers. Spolman.
Yes.
Stevens.
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes. Motion carried. Number 3.
Someone else's turn.
And this one, again, sets the public hearing for August 19th.
All right, who would like to propose this motion? Mr. Stevens, Mayor Pro Tem.
So no one else is jumping to it? No. I'll make resolution number 3 as part of my next motion for the Park in East Division Street Alley Improvement District, which including in that is setting the public hearing for August 19th to discuss it at 7 p.m.
Okay. There's a motion. Is there support for that as well?
Support.
Okay, any discussion, comments, questions? Hearing none. Mr. Petra, could we have a roll call?
Councilmember Shippers, Spelman.
Yes.
Stevens.
Yes.
Melama.
Yes.
Mayor Barnett.
Yes, motion carried. And I believe we're going to sit on number 4
Correct.
until after the public hearing, but it is in our packet if anyone wants to see that on the internet or pick one up here. And this sounds like it is supported by, at least from what we know of, the surrounding area. It's basically paving an alley. That was the tabled items. We're going to proceed next to go to the order. I guess we'll start with Mr. City Manager / Clerk tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. I was going to mention the honor ride that's coming up. I'm thankful we have a timed itinerary, and I am going to make sure we have some copies of that at our front counter, and if we can get something online, we'll try to do that as well, so that if people wish to take a look at it, that would be available for folks to do so. Also, just briefly mentioning, there is a special election tomorrow on behalf of the Cadillac Area Public Schools, who are asking for a renewal of their operating millage.
Okay.
Those are my comments.
Thank you very much. Mr. Councilmember Melama.
Just a couple things. On August 14th, we're going to do another Issues and Solutions over coffee, and it'll be at the west end of the city, and it'll be at the new restaurant. I don't have that name right on the tip of my tongue, but it's the one in the new plaza, or the plaza. Yeah, the new coffee shop.
I think it's the West End Coffee.
West End Coffee?
Yeah.
Okay. And the other thing is that I want to welcome the dealers that are here for rec boats. A lot of activity going on. Looks great. Lots of people down there, lots of dealers. And the other thing is, thanks, Matt, for serving. That's a big commitment with a family. Yeah, thank you. And the other thing is I can't remember ever getting out before 8 o'clock.
Almost.
Have we ever?
Very good.
It's been a while.
No, we need to work on that.
Yes, we were out at least at 7:30 years ago, 5 years.
My $2,600 will be docked now because I'm getting out early.
Yeah. Pay
Per
per.
year, you should add, per year.
Per year, yes, per year, right.
Anything else, Councilmember Melama? Thank you for your comments. Councilmember Stevens, you're next.
2 quick things tonight. First, in recognition of Piranha Hose as well as the other manufacturers, this has been one of the more exciting things to do on council is seeing these kind of investments, people committed to our community. And really what was cool, what you mentioned about the exporting, it's nice to see products being exported to other countries and things made here. So thanks for everything and pass on to the workers. Very fortunate. Piranha Hose is another example. That's where the community sees a lot of the volunteers, and your workers are committed to so many other aspects. And you guys have been phenomenal supporters of the Chamber's leadership program, sponsoring them. I think this year you had 2, if I recall. So thank you. Please do so. And it's nice to see Mr. William Gibson here. William, you probably don't know this. How old are you now? 10 years old. I would say since you were not even old enough to talk, you have been coming with your parents to council meetings. And I don't know if you know this, but there is not another child in Cadillac that's attended more city council meetings than you have. So you have come all the time with your parents for JCs and different things, and it's really neat to see you here again tonight. Matt, I wanted to echo, though, what Councilmember Mellema said. It's pretty interesting when somebody's coming here trying to thank us. We should be thanking you, and allowing us to go on with our lives like we do, and not having the stresses that you had to put up with on a regular basis. So it seems ironic that you're coming thanking the city. We really, not just to you, but to all of the servicemen and women that are over doing that. We owe so much to you, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember and Mayor Pro Tem Stevens. Well said. And Councilmember Spolman. Ms. Spolman, how are you?
I'm a member of the Lake Mitchell Improvement Board as a representative of the City of Cadillac, and we have a meeting this coming Saturday. Last week, I had the opportunity to do a lake survey with a group of individuals, including our chemical applicator, our consultant, and the individual from the state of Michigan, DEQ, who's responsible for permitting the chemical applications on the lake, and the chair of our committee, Mike Solomon. And so we surveyed Lake Mitchell to really look at the treatment that we did this year and whether or not it's effective. As most of you know, if you live in this area, we've had a problem with mostly Eurasian water milfoil, and the majority of our treatment is devoted to that. It has, over the years, hybridized, so it has become very difficult to treat. Lake Mitchell is a particularly difficult lake to treat. So it's really educational for me to do the tour of the lake, and in general, we found the lake to look pretty good. The treatment has been fairly successful this year. There will be some recommendations going forward to the board on Saturday on some touch-up work and additional treatment that might take place yet this year. In addition to that, I would like the council members and staff and the public to be aware of a Lakes Expo that's being held on Saturday after our meeting, and that starts at 11 o'clock and it runs until about 2 o'clock, and it'll be at the Cherry Grove Township Hall. This Lakes Expo is to really help educate the public on the treatment that is happening in both Lakes Cadillac and Lake Mitchell. We'll have our chemical applicators there, our consultants there, and the boards will be there. We're also going to have information about natural shoreline, erosion control, habitat. We'll have an ex-Bass Pro there to talk about fishing. A lot of people question the fishing on the lakes. And we'll also talk about water levels. So if you're interested in the lake and you use the lakes, this is a good time to learn more about them and to ask questions of those who are working to make the lakes really enjoyable for us who live around the lakes and play on the lakes, and those who recreate here. And that's Saturday at the Cherry Grove Township Hall, 11 to 2.
Thank you.
There's actually a bass tournament going on too Saturday. So
There's a lot of things going on Saturday.
No, I meant they'll be on the, speaking of bass fishing, they'll be on the lakes in a tournament that day.
It's interesting how, when it rains, it pours, and that happens to be a date where there's a lot of things going on.
Yeah, there's the fair, I believe, starts, or there's some activities.
Yes, it does.
The Kettnan Center has some has a 5K and some other things going on Saturday morning as well. I would start off with acknowledging our role model of a great citizen. Actually, it was the spirit of the community. And basically, Citizen of the Year or Decade, Matt Gibson, who has donated more time and on more committees than anyone I know in this town. That's when he's on stateside. And then to see what he does overseas and his sacrifice not only for himself, but his family, who's put a lot of special efforts to get by without him. And he's got another young man that's in the family, and his wife, and she's active in the Jaycees. And it's a great family, and to watch him do what he's been doing for us on both sides of the big ocean, it's incredible. So thank you, and thank you for bringing that gift. It was not solicited whatsoever, and we're going to get the plaque and the picture up very soon, and we'll have it here proudly displayed to anyone who comes into our City Hall. So thanks for that gift. You're a good man. Speaking of pictures or things to put on the wall, I do have a picture down below us. I don't know if Judd can get that on there, but there's one over in the Historical Society, and there's going to be one placed here. I think I'm going to do a proclamation for the individual that found it and got it and brought it back to Cadillac, maybe for our next meeting. Mr. Petcha, if we can maybe there's a lot of facts that go along with the picture, and it's of our Shea locomotive. And I guess I'll leave it at that for now, and there's some exciting developments in the history of our community, and it's right down below me, which I put hopefully in a position that everybody could see, but it's and Jed's letting us know he's got a good picture of it, but it's blown up and it's been framed by an anonymous donor. So, and we're going to hopefully acknowledge someone who found it and next meeting, but I want everyone to know that's going to be here in our City Hall as well. And the history behind this picture is amazing, because we really weren't sure that where it was in use, and it's clarified a lot about the Shea locomotive that actually sits in our city park. It's the exact same one. And just a couple fun facts. There's a lamp out front that I believe ran on gas of some sort. That was the light. And it's either a cow catcher or snowplow, one of the two. There's a little bit of an issue there, but there's a lot of facts, and we'll try to get those in the proclamation, and we'll be inviting the representative from the Historical Society, who also loves trains like Mr. Matthews does, and has since a little boy, but he's brought that. It's a personal friend of mine just from high school in that long gone by era. But I'm going to invite him next time, Marcus, and maybe we can put together a special recognition for him for finding the picture. Perfect. I think I'm in bounds there. A couple more things. The bike share program has kicked off. This was the idea. Mr. Petcha, myself, and Art just happened to be at a conference, and it was just brought up, and one of the persons from the Michigan Municipal League was present and helped us work through it. And this has been a huge success. There's now a sign out at the Mitchell State Park. It's sort of a three-way partnership with McLean Bicycle, the city of Cadillac, and the state at Mitchell State Park. And there were 13 bikes out there, and when that sign went up, the program took off. I think I saw about 5 people riding bikes coming down looking at the statues last night. And they were sold out. We've added 7 more. Not sold out, but they're all rented out. They're free, keyword, and maybe that's why they're so attractive. But people are taking bike rides from our Cadillac West area to downtown Cadillac and in between, enjoying the most beautiful lakefront in the world, as well as our downtown area. It's just another way to connect the campers with their downtown. And I understand, because staff brainstormed this as far as where to put them, and it's been a total success. And I want to credit staff for taking that simple idea and making it work. We've got 20 bikes out there now, and it's a nice, healthy lifestyle to promote as well. And you just can't beat riding a bike with no windshield and seeing what you see coming around, say, by the Frosty Cup, looking at this city from a distance. It's absolutely amazing. And so that's exciting. And we're going to keep having our free bikes all over the city, so keep an eye out for that. The After 26 project has a rack just waiting for some more bikes, but that has been successful beyond belief. Finally, there is an issue I think we should be taking a look at, and I've had a couple complaints. I went out and tested it out myself by jogging by certain areas and being ridiculed and made fun of, and it just made to feel uncomfortable. Just jogging on Main Street in the evening, as there are loiterers that are not in seem to be not having good purposes, and it forces citizens to feel uncomfortable, to turn the other cheek, and to have to not really like being free to walk down the street sometimes. They feel uncomfortable, and I've heard some comments from seniors, and mostly on the pathway toward, and we had this earlier in this, the summer season in the pavilion. It just seems to have moved a little bit to the boat launch. I just want citizens to know we're working on it. We are in contact with the local and county authorities and are coming up with an idea that might prohibit excessive hanging around. It's a very tough issue with regard to loitering and so forth, but there are, in my opinion, things happening that are making citizens uncomfortable, where they're not feeling free to walk even the path. But so I would expect something coming either from our city attorney or city staff or even the county prosecutor request. I believe an informal one's been made, but I would expect that we may have a loitering ordinance before us, or some tweaking of what we already have in place to hopefully send a message that we could probably stand to be nicer to one another out on the streets and appreciate each other's presence, rather than make it an opportunity to heckle or otherwise be rude. Anyway, just thought I'd pass that on, as I just experienced myself twice within the last week of putting myself out there exercising in public. With that odd occurrence, I'm going to adjourn unless we have anything else. Thank you all for being patient and attending. Again, congratulations to Piranha Hose. I've been working with a lot of your people over the years in different ways, and I've noticed they're high-quality employees. They care about their jobs, and they're proactive and being positive. So, congratulations. With that, barring any other invasions, meeting adjourned. Thanks.
Any other invasive species?